Okay, my name is Kai Jun. So for those who are joining for the first time, I'm actually a second year student doing econs and finance. I have been actually investing for about 5 years or so through fundamental analysis. And I've actually started on this webinar project itself to actually share some light regards to financial literacy, at the same time to hopefully inspire others to kickstart their journey as well. To share a little bit more how how they can approach this investing environment itself. So a little disclaimer is I'm not a financial advisor. I actually do take this as like an education purpose kind of thing. So if you like to kickstart your journey, do your own diligence research, or you can seek your own financial consultant for advice. So little quote for the day is, the best time to start was yesterday, and the next best time is actually now lah. So moving into the today's topic itself, I'm actually skipping the current affairs as I'm afraid that I might not have enough time. So a little approaches that is these two that I've actually identified. So there are many approaches out there, but we shall start from here itself to help you do your own research, at the same time analyze while identifying the particular securities you want to invest into. So for the top-down approach analysis itself, actually we tend to look at the economy first on a global standpoint. So understanding their geopolitical standing, as well as if they are safe to invest into, and what is the macro trend currently. So one example is when we look at AI itself, which requires electronic parts, and from here we can actually identify who is the top supplier globally lah. So from there, maybe you can identify the company they want to invest into. So the other way we can look into the second layer we can look into is like the commonly export goods and the trading partners that they have. Do they mainly trade with the US, or do they mainly trade with China? And given the current, I would say, trade tension and disagreement here and there, who is benefiting in the separate industry? So that's something that we have to look into as well. So lastly, identifying the company itself, we can pick the cream of the crop, to put where your investment should be lah. So I think I have actually come up with 5 different examples to show with you how the huge varieties of this approach can be. So for example, Malaysia itself, they do provide mainly in terms of palm oil. They do export to a degree semiconductor as well as rubber to the other parts of the world as well. For Vietnam itself, we do know that in their real estate sector, there's an ongoing demand, and actually it's growing. I won't say exponentially, but quite a huge leap compared to the past. Their net export itself, they are actually 20% exporting to the US and 14% to China. So you would see if, let's say, there's a disagreement ongoing, how this might actually affect the economy lah. So for Thailand itself, they are mainly relying on tourism itself, which is why they are trying very hard to attract tourists back into their country itself lah. Given the current pandemic happening, For Indonesia, would be oil and gas. However, as an investor, we also have to factor in the depreciating currency as well. So comparatively top down itself, now we got a bottom up approach. Investor that use this method tends to focus more on company first, such as their fundamentals, financial ratios, their unique marketing strategies, before looking at how it's performing on a global level lah. So for example, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, etc. We understand their business and their economic mode, which make them a very strong business to start off with. And if any company who wish to take them on, will actually have to think twice lah, which render the particular industry high barrier of entry kind of thing. So I would say don't just solely rely on one of the approach. Try to incorporate both, which is what most investors are doing, or in particular, which is what I'm doing actually, to be honest. So yeah. So moving on, there are various indicators out there to show you how the market is doing and stuff. So I have listed out 4 amongst the many. So first, it will be Fed rates. Actually, the federal funds, the rate, federal fund rates for internal lending between depository institutions, such as your banks, and looking at them as a benchmark for other economy, such as SIBOR for Singapore and LIBOR for London. Second will be the CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index. They are actually the measurement, of changes in terms of price level in the particular market itself. So they actually measure the consumer goods and services which constitute towards inflationary or deflation market itself. PPI, on the contrary, is the opposite of CPI. They are actually the producer price index. We actually measure the change in terms of price of goods, viewing at a trend on a different manufactured goods itself, such as the individual willingness to spend on a particular product. Lastly, purchasing manager index itself, PMI, is actually commonly used. It summarizes the entire market condition and overview to see if, let's say, it's expanding, staying the same, or or contracting. So aside from these four indicators, there are many such as like your GDP, which is your gross domestic product, GNP, gross nominal product, the corruption index of a particular country, the unemployment rate, which is ongoing, which is super high in America, the bankruptcy number as well of various company like SMEs in the particular economy. Sorry. So moving on, economy or what we know as business cycle. So cycles itself mainly split into two, both economic and as well as market. So economy, or what we know as business cycle, is actually the measurement of GDP on their contraction expansion itself. Whereas for market cycle or stock market cycles itself depends on the trend in terms of the particular industry they are in, such as like one thing they factor is like such as like the innovation and how the market reaction is like. So for example, in Tesla case, the market or public, do not have an optimistic opinion about them in the early days. However, as time passes on and technology progresses, people do see the need in terms of having them around. Yeah. So which slowly leads to them actually emerging as a leading player in a particular area. Contrary looking, at Singtel and StarHub itself, we're actually seeing a slight downtrend as more players are entering the market itself, and their product are becoming more price competitive, causing profit margin to drop, and thus investor confidence in them has dropped as well. Therefore, you can see the slight decrease in terms of share price. So yeah. Moving on to the next one, we want to talk about a little bit on market efficiency. So whether how efficient the market is and everything, strong form, semi-form, or weak form itself. So a simple understanding regarding how efficient a market is through this very simple model as well as on the side, we can see how the price actually fluctuate depending on the news coming out from the company itself. So a brief conclusion is that our current market is actually not a strong form yet. Reason being is insider trading is not allowed, which require actually private information in order to sort of like do the respective trade or to execute the respective trade. And if the market were to be efficient, there won't be economic profit as well. So this is something we got to understand. Why I say that is because price, will adjust efficiently to the company's fundamentals. So there isn't like overvalue, undervalue in this case. We also need to know that markets, they rise and fall on speculation as well as forward looking on the particular business in terms of their future prospect, given the history and the current news. So if you'd like to know more on this, we can discuss a little bit when the Q&A comes, or we can discuss it offline as well. After discussing, on the various approaches, such as the indicators, cycles, efficiency, let's look at a few case study, and in this particular case, the current pandemic. So in this pandemic situation, we will look into one commodity, which is oil, and see actually how it affects the market. So oil price dipped sometime couple months back due to the disagreement between Russia and Saudi itself, which is part of OPEC itself, and those who is invested heavily into them through leverage, for example, will be affected in this case. So one example is Hin Leong Trading Private Limited, which owe US $23 billion to 23 separate lenders. And among these 23 separate lenders, DBS, OCBC, UOB is part of it, which is also one of the reasons why their share price actually dipped a little when this news came out. So this is the indirect causation of the dip in oil price. However, at the very same time, when oil price crashed, we also don't see price of your petrol, at the respective kiosk dropping as well. Reason is because the petrol kiosks, they are not directly, I would say, linked to the oil plant, but instead to oil refineries itself, or whoever their supplier is. So secondly, we have to, factor in, aside from the macro outlook, we have to factor in the currency and organization. So for example, would be the politics that's ongoing, the economy trends, human psychology as well, currency and organizations such as like the OPEC or World Trade Organization. So what are the new policies they're implementing, for example? So moving on, we have to actually also view competitors, uh, as well as industry and sector. What news is ongoing? What are the trending innovations, for example? As well as the indirect industry that might possibly cause a certain kind of disruption as well. And that's not all. So furthermore, we have to actually streamline into the company outlook. We have to figure out their management, how are they doing, how are they treating their employees, how are they reacting to their clients' needs and wants, how are they adding value to in terms of the partnership and stuff, the financial health condition of the company as well. So yeah. So aside from the oil, looking at other sectors, we can actually see how this pandemic has directly affected the healthcare and social system and how it has actually I would say caused a lot of unrest within the I would say within civilizations itself. Indirectly itself actually affecting the airline business, which leads to the fall in tourism, as thus the results for the demand of oil actually decreases we actually add on to the dire situation of oil price as demand for transportation decrease as well. Okay, so moving on, I've actually finished sharing with regards to how we can look into the, I would say, the industry, the industry research itself, or what you can look out for, when identifying which particular industry you want to look into, for example, before you identify the company. So yeah, so so now I will be sharing with regards to the portfolio overview, my own portfolio. These are the 4 securities or 4 business that I actually invested into. So we'll talk about OCBC first. So knowing that Singapore is a financial hub, one of the main institution, or corporation that, must not fail is our banks. And thus, among the 3 out there, I've actually chosen OCBC, given their, business and how it's being run. So a simple investment thesis is, given Singapore reputation, security, and political stability, coupled with their low corruption rate, I've actually find it very hard to ignore Singapore banks. So yeah, for Escort Residential Trust, why I chose them is also because they are one of the biggest hospitality REITs in Asia, after merging with Ascendant Hospitality, summing up to 11,430 units, 73 properties across 37 cities in 14 countries. So for those who actually love air travel and are invested into that idea of going around the world and seeing the world, you might actually come across Airbus annual general meeting, whereby they discuss and talk about the trend of both post and upcoming, which states that almost, after every crisis episode, air travel will surge to almost 2 times. However, that being said, so they can predict however they want, but no one can tell the future. However, one thing I do know is that we are not going to do Zoom meeting forever. Yeah. So in this very particular case, we can actually see after phase 2 has started, most people are actually hanging out with their friends. So yeah. So the third security I'm looking into is Sager. It's actually a retail REIT which actually operates in China, which is an emerging market itself, consisting of 4 malls in a second tier cities, with their respective mall consisting of, I would say, tenant with niche businesses and their uniqueness to ensure scalability and their I would say to increase the footfall within the mall itself. So some might say it's risky, as there is a lot of uncertainty ongoing in China. So that's where homework plays an important role in this case to understand the respective investment that you are doing. Lastly will be Parkway Life. I actually decided on them due to their rising aging population, given within Asia region itself So this is also one reason why I decided on them is because they do own 53 different properties. Of them, 49 are nursing homes in Japan, 3 private hospitals in Singapore itself, and 1 medical outlet in Malaysia itself. So additionally to this, doesn't mean that there's no risk involved as well. So as we know, Japan is currently facing, I would say, not say facing, they are fearing of deflationary crisis which happened in the past due to the current pandemic situation. And additionally, there is also currency risk involved. And these are the few, I would say, risk consideration that you have to put into as well. So to conclude this whole thing, I have actually those who have actually joined the last month stock pitch itself, you have actually heard or seen the sharing with regards to the Parkway Life lah. So a little, I would say, sneak preview is we will be doing, me and my friends will be doing another I would say stock sharing sometime in July. So do stay tuned. Yeah. So for those who are interested in terms of researching for a particular, I would say, business itself, I can show you with regards to an example. So this is something that I have actually done in the past to show with regards to how a particular business should be viewed lah. So in Parkway Life, for those who have joined previously, they will have actually viewed this already. So the investment thesis as to why that company is worth investing in the first place, where are they getting their business from, their revenue stream, and what is their profit margin, for example. And moving on, we can identify the economic mode, like what is their key advantage in terms of comparing to their peers, their financial health itself, how their assets, their liabilities, for example, and what are the risk factor involved. Like for Parkway Life, like I mentioned, there's like technological advancement through 3D printing, artificial intelligence coming in. Then obviously there is like the currency exchange rate and the possible of natural disaster in Japan, such as like earthquake. Then lastly, you want to evaluate the company depending on whether is it a good or wise investment that you want to put into. Then probably a concluding summary lah. So this is one example of how you can do things. So yeah, last but not least, what I have shared today is actually mainly what I have done and what I have learned. So, do find out what suits you best. So if you have any question, feel free to ask lah. As there's no one method fit all solution lah. So what works for you might not work for me, vice versa. But do know that two brains is better than one. So if you do really have any question, feel free to reach out lah. Other than that, there are two other things that I want you to take away at the end of this concluding session is that the importance of understanding the economy as well as patience is key. Yeah. Don't have to rush in or having the fear of missing out. Sometimes it's good to invest logically rather than emotionally. So yeah. So thank you for staying for the past almost 20 minutes. I actually have a few announcements to make. But before that, I have a few books to recommend. Yeah. So if you want to identify like Elon Musk, how is he doing everything, you can check out his book. This one is his biography here. Moving on to identify maybe few terms that you don't understand in terms of when you're reading the financial statement or reading newspaper whatsoever or reading reports, you can actually get this book is Oxford Dictionary about Finance and Banking. Yeah. The last book you can look into is this book, Value Investing by Benjamin. Yeah, from Grams to Buffett and Beyond. It's by Bruce C.N. Greenwald. I don't know how to pronounce the name. So yeah, y'all can PM me for the books link and everything. So yeah. The QR code here on the screen actually a Telegram to our group chat itself where we share on current affairs and investment related topics. So this will be the last webinar for the month because I'm preparing for my exams. So the next webinar that is ongoing will be sometime on the 3rd week of July. So do stay tuned. And one of the week itself, me and my friends will be doing some stock pitch sharing session in a sense. So yeah, I hope you guys are looking forward to that. Additionally, if you guys want the links to the past videos that I've mentioned, give me a while, let me put it up in the chat. Oops. Okay, I've actually indicated the links in the chat itself, so do check them out, and you can actually, I would say, learn a little bit more. So yeah, if not, if you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat. Then we will get to them in a bit. Okay, I got one question with regards to what other industry are you looking at? I'm mainly looking into industry that I understand, such as like finance, healthcare, real estate, REITs. So in particular, it will be hospitality, logistic sites, as well as data centers. Because these are the few things whereby it's a need, on the ongoing demand, such as like, Amazon is ever growing. They do need a place to store their warehouse. To store those, I would say, parcel and stuff like that. So they do need space for that, storage space. So that's also one thing you can look into. Healthcare, given the rising population after the baby booming post-World War II, that's also something you can look into. Look, I'm not so much. I would say I don't know much about US aside from knowing that majority of their medical services are privatized. So yeah, but for Singapore, I do look at Parkway Life REITs. It's inside one of the video under YouTube on 3 stocks we can share, so you can view it over there. This to Matthew. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions before we actually conclude this sharing for the month itself? Yeah. So yeah, if not, actually, I will still be online on Telegram. So if you have any question, you can post there, or you can just PM me directly lah, through Telegram itself, and we can do further discussion. So don't need to be shy about it. If y'all got no question, I ask your question. What are the next few topics that y'all want to see me do for the upcoming months, like in July and August? Like few things that y'all want me to talk about. Forex. I'll do my best. I don't do trading cause my investment not revolve around fundamental analysis. Yeah, I'll do my best on that. Or I'll get someone else to talk about it for you. Politics? Yeah, sure. I can talk about it. I'll do my best. It's a very interesting topic, but I do hope I won't be arrested for voicing out my opinions. Yeah, yeah. These two are great topics that I can dive into. I can share a brief overlook on what they. STI company, Straits Times Index. It's not a company though. Or you mean STI companies, the top 30 companies? You want me to look at all 25 companies? I'll take it as a challenge though. Like yeah, I'll just take it up. But I'll probably do one company at a time because researching on one company takes some time lah. So I won't do all 25 at one go. I'll do one at a time. Then maybe I'll share it in the next stock sharing session. One company, one session. I'm not able to do it on a weekly basis because I got other commitments as well. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I'll do my best. Yeah. Additionally, if let's say there's more technicality in terms of terms or things that you want to look into, like dollar cost averaging, or what's the difference, or I would say the impact of dollar cost averaging or lump sum investing and stuff like that, like I can dive deeper because I do get a few questions regarding them. Yeah. Okay. One question is, what do you think of SG markets outlook right now? To be honest, I feel there's a lot of uncertainty involved. There's no concluding measure. My take and solely my opinion is that I'm currently waiting for the first half reports, or I would say the second quarter reports on our GDP forecast and respective companies that is in my watch list or companies that I already invested into to see if let's say there's a need for me to reevaluate my portfolio. That's the first thing that I'll be doing with regards to the company. With regards to the market outlook itself. So I got no concluding answer for you. But one thing I do know is that you have to wait, and I will be waiting with regards to how the market unfold after the results of the second quarter or the first half. Yeah, I hope I answer your questions. Yes, sir. Yeah, you will be coming out sometime in July or August period, depending on the particular company or the economy itself. One thing good is you all can use trading economy. One thing you all can use is you all can use trading economy to sort of like view the dates itself for the economy standpoint, not for the business. Then business wise, you all can look into the company website, the business website itself under what's that thing? Investor relation. So yeah. Next question is, do you believe more in W or V-shaped recovery? This one I don't know. I won't speculate but I really don't know. I only do hope that the market will turn out better Cause if job loss, we might not get, those that are doing well might not get affected, but those that are not doing well are actually being affected So I will refrain from answering this question. Sorry, Nick. We'll spend the next 2 minutes to answer any question if you all have. Okay, let me share regards to the website. Well, you all think of a questions. I hope it's a W though. Yeah, I do hope it's a Nike swoosh. But that's my hope in terms of how the economy will actually turn for better. So going back to your question at Matthew, you can refer to this website. So under the calendars, right, you're able to identify all the news of upcoming, like when certain countries are releasing their news report. So for example, Japan, they are releasing their PMI, their bank's composite PMIs maybe on the when? Today at 12:30 a.m. in the morning. So this one example. So if you look at Asia, okay, Asia is too much clear. Where is Singapore? Singapore. Sing here. Okay, save. Okay, then here is the Singapore. I would say the upcoming news So you're able to see foreign exchange reserve. How is it like in July and stuff? So yeah. Yeah, so, but this is, you want to look at the business wise, for example, any business you're looking at in particular, or any company you're looking at? Okay. You can do this. Yep, then they will show you the second quarter, which is on 5th of August. So this is how we can actually identify and this all under their investor relation tab in their particular website. So as an investor myself, I normally do keep track of these dates because I want to know of the company information to stay, I would say, stay relevant with the current condition of the company Yeah. Because investing into the company is more of like, it's not a like a hobby kind of thing. It's actually really, you have to view yourself as owning that particular company itself. So yeah. If not, we can actually conclude this session. Thank you everyone for your time. For next few update, do stay tuned on my Instagram. I'll update there accordingly, or through the Telegram through a Telegram group chat itself. So yep,